Hello everyone and welcome to my presentation. Today we are going to talk about building self-confidence and overcoming barriers in sport. We are going to talk about psychological aspects of football. We are going to discuss the determinants of self-confidence, so the sources of self-confidence in athletes. We are going to talk about team culture and compare empowering culture and unsupportive culture. We are going to discuss different coaching styles and their impact on athletes' confidence. And we are going to talk about development of self-confidence. So we are going to get some strategies how you can develop self-confidence. Before we start, I would like to introduce myself. I'm part of the Bratislavia project. I'm a performance psychologist. I am currently doing my CBT psychotherapeutic training, and I'm also a safeguarding officer in sport. My professional experience is from working with national football teams, working with professional clubs, with Olympic and national athletes, but also with youth, young athletes, their coaches and their families. So let's talk about the psychological aspects of football. Football is an industry built on results and pressure. It's a very dynamic sport. There is constant transition between defense and offense, and there is also collective interdependence. So it doesn't matter if I'm playing well. I need my teammates to play well to get the win. In football, there is also very big mistake visibility. So everyone can see that you made a mistake. And because it's a very famous sport, there is quite a lot of social exposure to football. Now, if we want to perform well in football, and when we consider their psychological aspects, we need some mental skills to be able to give our best when it matters the most. Now, when we look at the specifics and we compare it to what we need in football, whether it's my self-confidence, whether it's stress management, we can see that there is lots of mental skills that we need, that are required for us to perform well. It's stress management, it's attention switching, it's role acceptance. So if I'm okay with the role that I have in my team, it's emotional stability, because there is lots of unpredictable, lots of factors that influence my performance, but I can't influence them. And we need to be patient and focused. Now, when we look at the required mental skills, there is something they have in common, and that's self-confidence. Okay, so if I'm confident, I can probably handle stress very well. If I'm confident, I can switch from making a mistake to getting back in defense. If I'm confident, I can accept my role in the team that I have. I can work with my emotions, and I'm probably going to be quite patient and focused. So that's why self-confidence is, in my opinion, the key mental skill that we need to be able to perform well and to be able to give our best performances when it matters the most, when we are under pressure. Now, where does it come from, self-confidence? The biggest influence on self-confidence has our family. So our family has the biggest role in how we develop self-confidence, because our self-confidence is built from the very, very young age, so pretty much since we are born. And it depends whether our family, whether our parents are supportive or they are more critical, where they meet our needs or they kind of neglect our needs. Okay, so every time we look at the players, we need to take their family background and the way they were raised, because it influences very much the basics, the foundations of their self-confidence. Then a big determinant, a very meaningful determinant of self-confidence of players is the team and club culture. So I'm going to be confident in an environment, in a culture that's supportive, but it can be very hard for me to be confident in an environment where I'm not appreciated, where there is lots of fear of mistakes, where I'm many times criticized. That's when our confidence, even it can be even from our family, it can be built very well, but we come to a club or a team where our confidence is not, or we are not appreciated, our confidence goes down quite easily. Okay, this is directly connected to the coach's leadership style. So coaches have a great impact on athletes' confidence, because the way they talk to them, the way they give feedback matters a lot, whether the player is going to be confident or not. We are going to talk about it in a minute. Then another determinant of self-confidence is my position in the team. Whether I'm in a starting 11 or I'm on the bench, whether I'm a young player or I'm a leader, it all affects my confidence. Another thing that affects my confidence or athlete's confidence is a current sporting form. So how am I doing on the field right now? Okay, if I'm performing well, or I'm having maybe a hard time, I'm coming back from injury, I haven't played for a long time. That's something that really influences our confidence as well. And the last thing that I pointed out here, what influences our confidence, is past achievements. Okay, so what I achieved before. Okay, what are the sources of my confidence? What am I good at? What are my successes? What am I proud of? All those things influence our self-confidence. Now let's talk about the team culture. So I said that the team culture and team atmosphere can influence our confidence quite a lot. Now let's have a look at it. So we know empowering team culture. That's a culture or atmosphere where mistakes are treated as part of the process, part of the training, part of the learning. There is lots of constructive behavioral focused feedback. Players usually communicate openly and with respect to each other. Effort, improvement, and teamwork are valued. Okay, so it's not just about results, but there is also big influence or big emphasis on effort, improvement, and teamwork. Players usually in this environment, players usually feel safe to ask for the ball, and they take responsibility on the pitch. Now, what we can see in this kind of cultures is that teammates encourage each other after mistakes. Players still want the ball after they make a mistake, so they are not afraid to take responsibility. Bench players usually stay engaged, and younger or quieter players are not so afraid to speak up. Okay, maybe they are not going to be the loudest, but they are not afraid to speak up if it's needed. When we compare it to unsupportive team culture, we can see many differences. Okay, so in unsupportive team culture, mistakes are usually blamed. Okay, they lead to blame, they lead to sarcasm or punishment. Feedback is very personal. Okay, so it's not about behavior and our performance, but it gets personal. Players avoid responsibility, and they can sometimes hide during the game, so they don't want to have the ball. Status or comparison or some kind of having favorite players, that's dominating in unsupportive team culture. And players usually, when it comes to performance, players usually play safe to avoid criticism. They don't want the ball, they don't want to play, they don't want to play risk passes, because they know that if they mess up, there is going to be a lot of criticism on them. So what we see is lots of eye rolling, shouting, or blaming after mistakes. So teammates don't support each other, they blame each other for mistakes. Players can stop asking for the ball once they make a mistake. There is lots of kind of like silence or tension after conceding a goal, so you see that the performance goes definitely down after a team concedes a goal. And you can also see lots of defensive body language, so kind of head down, shoulders down, and kind of a close body position after something bad happens. Now, what kind of impact these two types of team culture have on athletes? So the empowering culture builds higher self-confidence. There is also faster recovery after mistakes. So if I make a mistake, I'm very quick to transit to defense, for example. There is greater risk-taking, but still in the tactical system, but there is lots of kind of brave passes, brave things on the pitch. Teams with empowering culture usually have better performances under pressure, and there is definitely better long-term development of players because they are not afraid to try new things, to learn, and therefore they develop better. When it comes to unsupportive culture, it builds fear of mistakes in players. Players usually it can lead to overthinking or hesitation when it comes to decision making on the pitch. Performance usually drops after they make a mistake. Many players avoid responsibility, so they don't want to take the responsibility when they need to. And usually there is lots of inconsistency in the performances. Now, the team cultures are usually developed by the coaching style. So my coaching style as a coach develops the team culture that I have in my team. And again, we are going to discuss two types of coaching style. One is empowering coaching, and the other one is harmful coaching. The first, empowering coaching, it's very similar to what we already discussed in the empowering culture. Okay, so empowering coach gives feedback focused on behavior. So it's about something like, okay, good movement, next time maybe open your body a little bit more or earlier. So they comment concrete behaviors. Coaches normalize mistake. So they say something like, that's okay, keep playing, the idea was good. They recognize effort and improvement. So we can say your defensive work today really helped the team. These coaches support emotional stability, so they use calm voice, they use instructional cues to get players focused. And they create psychological safety, so players are not afraid to speak up about their problems or about how they feel. When it comes to harmful coaching, that's a bit of opposite. So harmful coach gives personal feedback or shaming feedback. So it's more about, what are you doing? Use your brain. What was this about? They usually react emotionally to mistakes. So there's lots of shouting, sarcasm, or visible frustration in coaches' behavior and their communication. They use fear as motivation. So they can say things like, if you play like this, you are out next time. Okay, or they ignore effort and they focus only on outcomes. So they give prize only to players who score, for example, or when the team is winning. And usually they give much more critical feedback than praise. Okay, so it's not balanced, but it's more they're only commenting the bad things, that the mistakes that the players made, rather than kind of looking for the positives as well. So all these things, the culture, the team atmosphere, the coach and their leadership, all of this influences athletes' confidence in sport. But there are also some strategies that athletes can use to improve their self-confidence. I think one of the most useful strategy is self-talk. So self-talk is what we are telling ourselves in any situation. Okay, so for example, if I make a mistake or if I'm preparing for the game, how am I thinking? If I'm thinking negatively or positively. So here we have some examples. So for example, some kind of negative feedback or negative self-talk that I can give to myself is, after a mistake, oh, that was so bad, or I am a bad player, or this game is going to be really bad, I already messed up. Okay, Although if I say these things to myself, if I use this self-talk, I'm probably not going to be very confident in the game. But if I tell myself, okay, after a mistake, next time I'll get it, or it was just one mistake, but I can have a good game, even though I made this mistake. Or I can tell myself, okay, I know I'm a good player, I can do better. Then my confidence doesn't go down, but it kind of maybe stays the same. And I can encourage myself, I can make myself a little bit more confident. Okay, so if you are a player and you struggle with confidence, please try to use this encouraging and positive affirmations. Try to use positive feedback. Try to encourage yourself after you make a mistake, or if you are stressed, if you are doubting yourself, try to change your self-talk. Now again, coaches affect players' self-talk by their feedback. So if the coach constantly tells their players that they are bad, that they don't know what they are doing, that this is all chaos, then the players start to think that way as well. But if the coach says, okay, next time you will get it, next time it will be better, focus on this, again, the players will adapt to this feedback, and they will adapt their self-talk as well. Another very important source of confidence is realistic expectations. Now, I work with players, and I often hear something like, oh, I can never make mistakes, or something like, I have to dominate every opponent, I have to win every single duel. And if they don't make it, if their expectations are high and they don't make it, then their confidence goes down. Okay, so self-confidence is built mainly from feeling successful. And if our expectations are is too high, then we can never feel successful. Okay, so therefore our confidence will never grow if our expectations are too high. So try to maybe think about what your expectations are, what you tell yourself again. Here you have some examples for like realistic expectations and unrealistic expectations. So unrealistic expectations can be something like, oh, I can never doubt myself, or I cannot make any mistake, I have to win every duel. Now, how to make it more realistic? I can tell myself, it's okay to feel nervous, or I want to make good decision most of the time, not all the time. I want to stay focused during the match. I want to win more duels than I lose today. Okay? It's okay to make a mistake, right? So if I set these goals and I achieve them, my confidence goes up again. It rises. But if I don't meet them, then my confidence goes down usually. Another source of confidence that athletes can use, another strategy, is imagery. Now, imagery, when I visualize something, when I visualize myself performing well, it creates a simulated experience of success. So athletes see themselves executing skills or performing very well. They can rehearse coping with difficult situations, so they learn in their mind, they learn how they can cope with difficult situations like conceding goal, or for example, having a bad start of the game, okay, making a few mistakes during the start of the game. Imagery increases the perceived readiness. So sometimes if I'm kind of experiencing myself performing well in my mind, it kind of creates, for our brain, it creates the image that I can do this also in reality. Okay, so use your imagery. Try to, for example, every day for 10 minutes sit down and think about and visualize yourself performing well. Visualize some concrete situations, maybe some difficult situations, how you are handling them right. Okay, it can reduce anxiety, it can reduce fear of mistake, it can also increase your confidence. Just like we talk about realistic expectations, we also need to be able to evaluate our performance realistically. Okay, again, I work with athletes, and I often hear something like, "Oh, I played really terribly. I will never make it as a player, as a professional. I'm just not good enough." If I evaluate my performances only based on my feeling, or only based on on the final result of the game, or my coaching's reaction, or maybe based on a big mistake that I made in the game, it's probably going to make my confidence decrease again. Okay, so let's build our confidence on evidence, not just feelings. And let's try to look at your performances objectively. So don't focus only on the negative side, not only on the mistakes, but try to use the game or the trainings to see your positives as well, to see what you've done well in the training or in the game. Okay, so usually I've done something very well, and maybe I made a few mistakes, but if I dwell only on the mistakes, only on the negative aspects of my game, then my confidence, again, what it does, it goes down. All right, so here are some questions you can ask yourself to evaluate your performance. For example, what did I do well today that I want to repeat? The focus is on concrete behaviors. Where did I make a good decision even though the outcome wasn't perfect? It separates the decision quality, which is very important in football, from the execution. What is one moment I would handle differently next time? Okay, so it keeps our improvement stable. Did I stay committed to my role and the game plan? Again, it reinforces controllable factors that we want to focus on. What is one thing I will carry to training and the game? Okay, so again, it keeps the improvement stable because I set some goals for the training and for my next games. Okay, so we are coming to the end of the presentation. Here are some takeaway messages for you that you can use for your development. So football performance is psychological as much as physical. Okay, we need to train our mind so that we can handle the pressure, we can handle the social exposure, we can handle the dynamics of football, we can handle the overall mistake visibility. Okay, self-confidence is not fixed. It's shaped by our parents, firstly, and then by our environment, by the culture, by the atmosphere that we live in and perform in, and by our experiences in life. Okay, and we can work on it. That's a good news. Team culture directly influences confidence of individual players. Okay, so if I'm in a team where we encourage each other, where we treat each other with respect, we give each other constructive feedback, my confidence is probably going to be much more stable than if I am in a team where there is lots of blame, lots of sarcasm, maybe some bullying, or maybe we are just really critical to each other. Okay. Coaches have a strong impact on players' confidence. They can increase players' confidence by their feedback, or decrease their confidence by their feedback. Okay, so if you are a coach, try to use as much of constructive feedback, try to look for positive things, and try to balance the criticism with praise as well. If you want to decrease players' confidence, you can be harmful. You can punish a lot. You can use fear of mistake, but it's going to decrease your players' confidence. And then the last thing is that confidence grows from experiencing success, from encouraging feedback, and encouraging self-talk as well. We need realistic goals, realistic expectations, and also realistic evaluation of our performances to make our confidence grow. And we can also use imagery as part of our training, where we see each other in our mind, we see each other performing well, to again increase our confidence. Okay, so I hope you found this useful. Thank you for your attention, and see you next time.